Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Loz. We're two English backpackers who have been documenting our journey through Australia for the past year. We're on the work and holiday visa and we're just going into our second year.
Yeah, our first year has been totally amazing. Australia is such a great country. It's got such diverse culture, nature, adventure. It's got it all. You can see why so many people want to come here.
We've seen so many questions online about 88 days. What does it mean? What does regional work mean? So we're here to answer some of those for you.
But make sure you stick around to the end because an exciting update is coming out soon.
You don't want to miss it.
No, it's going to be a good one. If you've got any other questions, then drop them in the comment section below, but hopefully we clear as much as we can.
You might be asking, what is 88 days? What are you on about?
Who knows?
What is 88 days? Why 88 days? Why that number? Well, 88 days is basically the regional work that you have to do in your first year working holiday visa to be able to get a second year.
You don't even have to do this. You get 1 year for free if you just want to come check out Australia. However, as Loz said, you do need to do this 88 days if you want to stay longer than a year.
So why is it 88 days though? And it's basically because if you add up the number of days in the shortest 3 months of the year, then that equals 88 days.
One thing that we just want to add is that if you're looking into going to your third working holiday year, then everything that we go through now is going to apply to you. However, you just need to do 6 months of work rather than 88 days.
But if you're getting to your third, you probably already know that because you would have done the 88 days in the first year.
Yeah. So the first thing we want to go through is what type of work do you have to do? Traditionally, people think about coming to Australia and picking fruits, veggies, working in a farm all day, hard work in the sun, but you can definitely still do that, and a lot of people do, but it's not what you have to do.
No, so we've heard a lot of horror stories about working on farms, so we thought, let's try and do something different. In 2022, they changed the rules so that if you work in northern or remote areas of Australia, then you can do hospitality and tourism, which is what we thought, perfect, let's try and do that. We found some bar work in a brewery and we had the best time. Couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah, and what classifies as regional work or remote work is you can go on the government website and there's a list of postcodes which you can find out. It's above the Tropic of Capricorn, but there's loads of other places that you can do it as well.
Yeah, so there's farming, there's hospitality and tourism, but there's also other sorts of work you can do, including mining, fishing,
bushfire work,
and flood recovery work as well.
Have a look on the government website. There's a list of all the type of work you can do, all the locations, and see what might be right for you.
Yeah. So we've had a few people ask us if you have to do the work all in one place. And the answer is no, you can do it in as many places as you want. I guess it makes it a little bit easier if you do it in one place because you can just stay and just get the work done. But if there's things that you want to do or if you're not enjoying the job, then absolutely you can do them in as many places as you want as long as the work counts.
Yeah, just the main thing is though, just make sure you're counting the days as you go, because if you're doing multiple jobs, then you want to make sure you keep track of how many days you're doing.
Yeah, it can get very confusing.
Okay, so another question that we've been asked quite a lot in our DMs lately is how hard is it to find a job? We've been asked questions from people who are looking to move here and they're just worried about not having a job before they get there. It's understandable, you want to kind of plan as much as you can before you get there.
We'd recommend not finding a job before you get here though. Most places don't really want to know unless you're actually in Australia.
They want to see you with your CV or resume,
yeah, getting
into places and show your face.
This is from our experience anyway.
In our experience, everywhere has been crying out for jobs. We've been looking in the hospitality sector and places have been crying out for staff. Actually, where we were in Port Douglas, there was places closing certain days because they didn't have the staff.
Yeah, so we actually found it very easy to get a job. At that time, it was high season, so there was a lot of tourists there, which meant that there was a lot of hours going, which was great. But that is one thing to keep in mind, is that the whole of Australia has high and low seasons. So try and aim to go somewhere during high season because it's much more likely that you'll be able to find a job.
Yeah, this is dependent on a lot of things. There's normally wet and dry season, so do your research, think about where you want to go and figure out how busy it's going to be whilst you're there. Okay, so now this is probably the biggest question that we've been asked. The question that we see all the time online on all the Facebook groups, and rightfully so, because looking into it online it's so vague.
Yeah, the government website really doesn't help on this question, but it is how many hours a week do you have to work to get your days?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Well, what me and Lee did, we aimed to work at least 35 hours a week, as that is kind of your standard full-time hours. So that's what we based it off, and we've got ours granted.
On the government website, they give examples about different types of jobs and what they class as full-time in those sectors. They do some different scenarios about a nurse and that kind of thing, which depending on how many days that you work in a week and what the kind of industry standard is and that kind of thing. But I feel like 35 hours is a pretty safe bet, especially for hospitality work.
Yeah, it's a bit of a standard. This is also a very common question that we have been asked, which is how do you count the days? So again, this is also very confusing, and it's confusing on the government website. But if you work full-time hours, then you can count the whole 7 days in the week as 7 days. So for us, if we had done 35 hours a week, we would count all 7 days. No matter if you did that within 3 days or 5 days or 7 days. All the 7 days count.
Yeah, if you end up doing 6 days work, but you only do 28 hours or something like that, you only get 6 days towards your 88 days. You have to do full-time hours to get the full week.
So that's why it's good to aim for full-time hours every single week, because then you get your days done a lot quicker.
So if you got full-time hours every week, non-stop, this would take you about 12 and a half weeks to complete your 88 days.
There is also this app called the 88th day, which I've seen some people use, where you can put your hours in each day and it helps you to calculate how many days you've done. But personally, we just counted it ourselves. We just went through the calendar and was like, yep, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, until we knew that we'd done the 88 days.
It'd be good if the government had something like this to help you with, but as you can tell, there's a bit of a theme here. The government do not help you much with this.
That's why we're here.
So the next we're going to talk about is who submits for your second year working holiday visa. Because there's a lot of confusion online that people think it's your employer that does this, but no, it's you, and it's very similar to when you submit for your first year application. All you have to do is go on the IMI website and it costs the same as your first year, but they just ask you for a few more details.
So you have to submit evidence along with your application, and this evidence includes your bank statements just to show that you've got money coming in from the employer. You should also upload your pay slips, which show the company address on it and all of your details that match up.
Yeah, just a little bit disclaimer is that I've seen some people not been asked some things, but this is what we've been asked. We had to show pay slips and bank statements and put some supporting documents to help, like I put my contract of employment in there. And historically, people also think that your employer has to submit loads of pay slips and stuff like that. That's because a few years ago, they just had to sign off on a bit of paperwork. That's all they had to do, but they've changed that.
Yeah, so now it's down to you. The main thing is bank statements, pay slips.
Yeah, so make sure you don't lose those whilst you're working.
So once you finish your 88 days, you're probably wondering, when do you apply for your second year? The answer is you can kind of do it whenever. If you apply for your second year visa during your first year visa, it will begin on the day after your first year visa expires, no matter when you apply for it.
Yeah, there's a bit of confusion that if you apply too early, that are you losing some time from your first year? But no, it doesn't work like that at all. Your second year just continues on from the expire of your first year. Whether you apply 3 months into your first year, if you did your 88 days straight away, or if you did it right at the end, it doesn't matter.
Another question we get asked is, do you have to do the second year visa straight after your first one? And the answer is no. You can take a break between the visas if you want, and you can apply from home. And then the same applies from when you apply for your first year visa, is that your second year will start when you then enter the country.
Another thing we just want to mention is that if you are a bit tight of time for applying for your second year and you finish your days but the end of your first year is coming up, then you actually get granted what's called a bridging visa whilst they process the application for the second year. You don't have to leave the country, you can just stay whilst they're processing that for you. Okay, now finally, an exciting update if you're coming from the UK and you're hoping to come to Australia.
So the British government and the Australian government have made a deal recently, which means that us British backpackers can get 3-year working holiday visas for free.
No work, no 88 days, no farm work, no hospitality work, nothing. For free.
Maybe not free, you probably still have to pay for it.
But no work.
It also means that they are upping the age to 35 instead of 30, which includes so many more backpackers.
And the thing that we read is that they're also considering allowing a lot more permanent residents here, because they're just crying out for farm work, hospitality work, anything. They just really need people to come lately. We'll link the article down below so you can have a read as well.
If you have any more questions about 88 days or just working holiday visa in general, feel free to comment below and we'll do our best to answer them.
If you just like watching Australia content, then we do actually post vlogs about our journey in Australia. We're currently in Melbourne and we've got so much more of Australia to see, so make sure you subscribe and follow along with our journey. But thanks for watching, guys, and we hope to see you again soon.
Join us.